Hey, I'm Kendra. Welcome to Alaskan Brewing's Quality Assurance Lab. All right, so you're looking at the QA lab. This is where most of the magic happens in the science world of our brewery. So this is where we do most of our analytical testing. It's where we do our microbiology. So this is our PCR setup. So this is where we run microbiology. So we've got this plate here, which our microbianalyst has worked on basically a series of pipette dilutions and mixes, and they finally go in here. And this machine reads the fluorescence of what is in these little tubes, and then it outputs this graph of whether things are positive for microbiome or not. So next up we have our gas chromatography setup. So this is a very, very fancy machine that not a lot of breweries have, and we're very fortunate to have one. It helps us test our diacetyl in our beer. So basically we put a vial on here, and it goes through this system. This is a needle, so it punctures the vial, and then a bunch of gas flows through here, and it goes around this column and up, and then it detects a certain concentration. That is low-level science, but that is how it happens. In the back here, we have our lab library, which is one of my favorite parts of the lab. It's basically just shelves and shelves of beer. And other products. No, it's not all Imperial Red Ale. That's just what the papers are. So for every packaging run that comes, we take 4 samples from each packaging run to put into our lab library. And this is in case we get a consumer issue down the road and we want to look into it, then we have every single packaging run that was done from the last 7 months to a year. Yeah. So lots of beer. Back in this room, we have our incubators. These are where we keep our micro samples. I think Alex has some micro samples. Yeah, nice. These have been incubating for the last 2 days. Over on this side, we kind of get into our chemistry side of things. So here we have a spectrophotometer, which helps us read the color and then also the bitterness of our beers. And so we have one of our analysts that's running that every morning. We have a couple of beers up here from this morning that are going to be tested for haze later. This is our pH meter, microscope, self-explanatory, and then we've got a bunch of centrifuges. This is our haze machine. It's called Haze Control DT9011. Basically, we put a cuvette in here, glass thing, and we fill it with beer, put it in here, and then there's a lamp that shines through and tells us how hazy it is. This is our alkalizer and density meter. This is probably the most important thing in this entire lab because we aren't allowed to put out beer unless the alcohol is correct. So we measure the alcohol every morning. I don't know if you can see the screen at all, but there's it's a little tube in there that it goes through and it measures the density in that tube. And then it goes through this top machine and it measures the alcohol via magic. I don't know how, but it just does it. Sometimes science is just magic. One of the last things over here is our laminar flow hood. So this is where we do all of our microbiology. It's got an air filter in the back that blows air towards me. And so everything that's on this bench has air flowing over it, which makes it hypothetically as sterile as possible. So all of our microbiome is run under here in order to keep things sterile. We have, I just think this is fun, we have all of the rough draft recipes as far as, gosh, I don't know, 1990s looks like over there. So you can kind of pull any random binder and just look at these are all of our 1-barrel recipes for the most part. So back over here, this is our distilled water machine, which is not very fancy, but it's everything that we test, we have to use distilled water. So we have our own little in-house distilled water thing to make distilled water all the time. Here we have our, I believe they're called orbital shakers. This is how we degas our beer. So we put a flask of beer on here and it just shakes for 15 minutes or so. So it's basically if you were to shake up a can of beer and then open it, it would spray all over, right? Because the carbon dioxide is going out. And so this is just making that happen naturally. So this machine is called it's a nucleo counter, and basically it's a really fancy cell counter. And we use this for our yeast viabilities. Usually on like Mondays is when our yeast strengths are done. So we take all of the yeast strengths and we measure them in here with these fancy little cassette things. So it's like we put this down in the yeast and we plunge it, and then that little clear window there basically like compresses it all to what it would look like on a microscope slide, and then this views it and tells us how many cells there are. So that's our lab in a nutshell. Thanks for watching. Cheers.